instead of wasting time and energy trying to, and in the process confusing everybody, why don't you focus on the people that are yours and your audience, the people that you want?
Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thanks for joining. Hope you guys are doing well, staying safe and warm. I know that those of you down South Texas is really struggling right now, so we're sending all of our love and warmth to you guys for sure. Um, we have weddings with us tonight, and we're going to be talking all about video marketing and what Oh, here we go. What
Hey,
aspects that are important when it comes to video marketing? So glad to have you on.
likewise.
So now, for people who don't know anything about Malik Photo Weddings and what you do, first of all, you have, is it 2 Emmys?
Yes, ma'am.
That is amazing. So tell us about that. Like, and how did you move from, I mean, obviously doing work and receiving Emmys to doing weddings?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Abby Matheson. I'm the creative lead for MalekFoto Weddings and Films. Um, MalekFoto is actually broken into two parts. We have the wedding side, which is about 25 to 30% of our business, and the MalekFoto film side, which is about 70% of the business. The film side handles stuff like TV series, feature films, web series, and we create content for growing businesses,
That's
right? So that's how we actually started, with that. So how did I get into weddings? I got into weddings because a friend of mine insisted that I was going to shoot her wedding. In fact, if you look on my page right now, some lady made a post. She's like, "You're gonna shoot my wedding, but I don't have a man yet," right? Which was exactly what this friend of mine said. She's like, "You're shooting my wedding." I'm like, "But you don't even have a boyfriend." It doesn't matter. You're shooting my wedding. So when the boyfriend came, she was like, "I have a boyfriend now, so let's go do the wedding." So that's how we, really got into weddings, and it's been amazing. So what I try to do is to create an unforgettable film for my clients, because you know um, memorable is the base standard for, I mean, a wedding. It has to be memorable, but unforgettable is the next level up, and that's what we try to do for them. We want it to be a tool, like an anchor, where when the storms of life come through, right? As you know, the butterflies in the tummy, you don't feel them anymore, right? Um, you don't, now you can eat, because before you're like, oh, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't do, now you can do all that, right? When the storms of life come, when you have those arguments, right? You need something to remind you of why the reason why you got into this in the first place, and
Mhm.
why you fell in love with this person. And we want our films to be able to do that for our clients.
I
So
love
beyond just a memory of the day, we want to create something so special that they run back to each time that they have an issue.
I love that. And I think that's so powerful because, I mean, when you think back on weddings, I've been in the industry for 20 years. So it's like back then, it's like people had their big old camcorders and, Uncle Bob with his, he's shooting this and his VHS tape, and nobody ever watched it. And it was this horrible that you couldn't even see the people. Like they were all fuzzy and out of focus. And so I mean now it's such an amazing keepsake. And just like you said, I mean, it should evoke that emotion because it's not just your big VHS tape of the whole thing start to finish. It's all of the pieces and kind of woven together to tell a story. So how do you go about figuring, I mean, obviously there's so much footage. How do you start to kind of parse out and figure out like, okay, this is the story and this is kind of the storyline that I'm going to go with. Like how does that come about?
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. Yes, I can.
Okay.
So that's a really good question. For because of our background in films and television
Right.
and stuff, we are accustomed to telling stories. That's what we do, right? So when we what we've done is that we've taken that approach and introduced it to weddings. So when we come for a wedding, we don't even think about it as an event, right? We are coming onto a set. The bride and groom are the main characters, the wedding party are supporting cast, and the guests are extras. So with that mindset coming in, we will have to deliver a film quality production.
I love it. That's awesome. That's so good. And I mean, I think one of the things that I know, I mean, obviously everyone watching and people who are going to watch later, they're not all videographers. And so sometimes, when it comes to telling us, and that's the thing, is a video should be able to take you on a journey, tell you a story. So, what are some things that you can kind of give as tips for people to think about how they want to tell the story, whether it's their business story or maybe they're telling a story about what they do for couples. What are some of those things that they should be kind of aware of or keen on thinking?
So when it comes to when it comes to business and wedding films, they're a little separate, right? I'll give you an example. There are clients that come to us for to create brand video, and they're like, we want this video to do this, 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 and that. The video can only do one thing at one particular time, right? It's
You mean
like
it's not going to
communicate.
do everything?
No, it can't. You know, you're going to need a series of videos to tell different. If you have taken a chance to go on our website, if you notice that each wedding film is different from the next. The reason for that is because each client is different from the next. Though it cannot be the same because the love is not the same and the story is not the same. So we kind of tailor it, you know, to each particular individual or each particular client. And that's the only way that it can work.
Right, right. I love that because understanding that it's not just like this is some formula that you just plug all the pieces into and then it's like it should turn out no matter what, like a recipe, like if you're baking or something. It's not that easy. You have to know what you're trying to communicate. And I think that's one thing that a lot of wedding pros struggle with is sometimes they don't know what they should be trying to communicate, you know. So what are some of those things, like because you do brand videos and you work with small businesses, what are some of the things that you think are the most powerful kind of messages for them to send when they're creating video?
Very good. Let's actually even start from the beginning, right? Let's have the conversation about effectively using video in marketing, right? The first thing that you need to realize is that not all videos are created equal, right? Most businesses or most business owners don't understand the psychology behind a great video, right? You have to remember that people share emotions and not facts, right?
That's great.
When we've had a series of really successful campaigns and viral videos. In fact, we just launched one yesterday that we shot for the Monolucci Bridal magazine, and within it hasn't been 24 hours yet. It's gotten about 500,000 views.
That's amazing.
By the end of the week, I'm thinking it would hit or cross the 1 million point. Now, the first video that we shot, the first wedding video that we shot, which was that friend of mine that I told you about, um, that video got about 10 to 12 million views,
Wow.
right? And then we had another video that got about 70 million views,
Oh
right?
my
So
goodness.
we understand what it takes to get a video viral, right? Now, what we now understood in that was that viral is good, but is it communicating and attracting the right kind of clientele?
Right.
That's a whole different story, right? So, talking about the psychology of a great video, one, what is the messaging? What are you trying to communicate, right? Number two, who is your audience,
Hmm.
right? Because everyone, when you talk to a business person and you ask them that kind of question, they're like, everybody. No, everybody is not your audience.
Right.
A particular people are your audience. So instead of wasting time and energy trying to, and in the process confusing everybody, why don't you focus on the people that are yours and your audience, the people that you want, and message to them,
Hmm.
right? Thirdly, what kind of emotions would you like to evoke, right? Because people spend based on emotions and
Yes.
how they connect with a brand,
Yes.
right? Um, Another thing that I noticed is that a lot of people are more interested in impressing the audience versus impacting the audience,
Ooh, that's
right? Now, for us, and I'll give you a classical example, right? The videos that went viral were dancing videos, right? Now, great, it entertained a lot of people, but it wasn't bringing the right kind of clientele.
mm,
So we sat down and said, you know what? As a brand, we are not putting out dancing videos ever again. And that's what we did. So when, we get a call saying, like I said to you, somebody just posted this yesterday. I fell in love with your video. I am wanting to book you in advance. I don't have a man yet, right? As funny as that sounds, you have made an impact on that person,
hmm.
right? Oh, I watched your video and I was in tears. I don't even know those people from anywhere, right? You've made an impact. Oh, I love that dancing video. It made me laugh so hard. You have impressed someone, but you haven't impacted them.
Mm,
So we decided as a brand that we are interested in impacting and not impressing.
I like that.
Very, very important, you know. And finally, you have to be authentic, right? Because that you people, as I said, buy brands that they have a connection with,
Hmm.
and that connection is driven through authenticity. So, um, then
That's
finally, you
good.
have to be consistent,
Right.
right? Which is the reason why one video is not enough. You have to have a video campaign strategy. What are you trying to communicate? When are you trying to do it? How are you trying to do it? So all of that, we sit down and have a conversation with the client on how to deliver all that.
That's so good because a lot of times people think, okay, I'm just going to do one video and then that's it. And they're like, oh, I'm good. I'm good. I just did my one video, right?
And they get frustrated that it's not working.
Right.
It's not working. It's like you trying to go on a date with someone and you call them just one time and you're like, this is not working. It can't work because there has to be an investment of your time and your emotions in that because it's a relationship that you're trying to
Hmm.
build.
Right.
Every client that begins to follow you and want your product or want your service, they um, they want a relationship with you. So let me give you an example, right? Let's use planners for example, right?
Okay.
A planner says, um, you know, I am I'm a really good planner, right? I do luxury weddings and they have a bunch of, high decor stuff on their page, right? And they start getting frustrated on not booking clients at the frequency that they would like.
Mm,
That's planner one. Then planner two says, okay, I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting on a beach, right? Imagine the waves hitting the shore, right? Imagine the breeze on your face. And then you hear, "Excuse me, ma'am, would you like a drink?" Right? Before you open your eyes, you're hearing some music that sounds familiar, but the waiter interrupted you. And as you look up, you see your boyfriend Johnson on his knees. And you get up and arrange yourself and realize that you're being proposed to. And the music that was sounding familiar is actually your favorite song that is being played. And he says, "Susan, I fell in love with you from the very first time you said hello. And I do not see my life without you being in it. I want you to marry me." That's what we did for a client. And
That's
that's what we can do for you. You just painted a picture or showed a video of that piece to that client. 9 out of 10 you're going to book them. Because what you're saying to them is, we started this journey with this couple, their engagement. We're going to do the love story. We're going to plan the wedding and the honeymoon as well. So we just became a part of their lives, right? And a part of one of the most important parts of their lives. They're going to book you
yeah,
versus the person that is trying to explain how luxurious the wedding planning services are.
right, right.
Yes.
Because it's like, the saying, "Don't tell me, show me," because people want to see, they want to understand, not just, I mean, because anybody can say, "I'm a luxury planner," or "This is what I'm going to do for you," or this is how I'm going to make you feel on your wedding day," or, when you can like actually show that, it is,
It changes everything.
yeah, it gives them that conversion where it's not just that, like you said, it's not just the impression, it's the impact that
Yes.
actually makes them want to take action.
Yes.
And like you said, your client was like, "I don't even have a man, but I'm ready to book you for," I mean, that's amazing. Like, I mean, I don't know any wedding professional who would not die to have a million of those. But that's the thing. You have to be able to tell that story in a way that really impacts the client, to like they want you no matter what.
Yes.
So I think that's so cool. That's so
A-
cool.
And that's what the strategy did for us. We went from arguing and negotiating on pricing on, "Please tell me you're available for this date," right? And that was the shift.
Hmm.
And it all had to do with the content that we put out.
I love
So
that.
yeah.
That's so good. And so, I mean, one of the things that, video I think can do in so many ways more than just still photos, is being able to show you that value, right? Because that's one of the things that I know a lot of pros, they hear all the time when it comes to like, "Oh, everyone's kind of, they're haggling me on price, or they're asking what the price is, or they don't understand why it's so expensive." But to be able to show that value right out of the gate, that's powerful. Do you suggest that pros hire, like a videographer to do brand videos, or to just use like videos that they have of clients that they've done? Like, how do you normally kind of suggest for people to do
Okay,
it?
so let me interject for a second.
Yeah.
People will always tip for service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And pay for they tip for service and pay for value,
Mm,
right? That is so profound. Because when I mean, think about it for a second. When you think about service, the first thing that comes to your mind is maybe like a waiter,
mm-hmm.
right? And there's nothing wrong with waiting because I've done that before, right? But because you did not cook the meal,
Right.
because you didn't do all the things to make the meal great, you just provided a service. So what they do is, "Thank you for bringing my food. Here's the tip,"
Mm-hmm.
right? But when you create value, people would pay for value. And that's what because most people in the wedding industry sees themselves as a service provider,
Mm,
which is the reason why they're getting tipped.
right.
So if you change that mindset from, okay, you know what, I am I am providing for you a service versus let me take you on a journey of an experience,
Mm,
then you're able to charge more. And it
right.
starts with the way that your website looks, your Instagram page. I do not believe in cell phone videos. I really don't,
Mm,
because they're not professional. They're good for story, but on your page, that is how your client or your future client is going to rate you
right.
based on what they're seeing. I
Mm-hmm.
have we've had people come on our page and they're like, I saw the page and I just knew that you were going to be pricey.
Mm,
That's a good thing
yeah.
because one of the, one of the most important commodities in life is time,
Mm,
right? So if the things that you're doing is helping you weed out people that are time wasters,
yes.
that you've won already. That is a big win.
Yeah.
So you want to have conversations with people that are prospects versus time wasters.
I love that.
Because when you're dealing with time wasters, prospects would come and go, and you would miss them because you spent all this time with somebody that's just there to waste your time.
Yes. I mean, a million times over, because that's, I think especially when professionals, when wedding pros are getting started, they don't necessarily understand the difference, and they don't know, they don't have the experience to understand, who really is going to be their appropriate prospects and who are going to be the time wasters. But if you're not putting out targeted message videos that are really kind of on brand for what you want to do and who you want to serve, it's going to be like any and everyone, and you're going to be so spent. I mean, how much energy are you going to waste? Not just time but energy. And then it's like by the time that your actual prospect gets in front of you, you're like, I'm so tired, like like
And
you know
you become snappy at them,
yeah.
like because in your mind you're like, oh, another time waster is here,
Right.
you know. And you get like that. It's interesting that we're even having this conversation because back in the day when I used to do photography, I realized that a lot of my contemporaries were angry people,
Mm,
and I couldn't understand why. And I did some, more research about it, and I found out it was because they were getting jobs that they really did not want,
mm,
that was, borderline them losing money just
right.
because, to avoid the job going to somebody else. And they became bitter. And I
Mhm.
made up my mind that I would never be that person.
Mm,
So I'm okay to walk away. I'm like,
yeah.
it's good. If you're not my client, then you're not my client. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think knowing, number one, obviously who your ideal client is, but number two, really, really owning that. Because I think sometimes people are just like, well, it's just a job, and I just need money, or I just need experience, or whatever the case is. But I mean, just like you said, it can actually, yeah, it might barely pay you, or maybe you lose money on that job, and then it makes you bitter. I think that's really the most disheartening thing, is because if you no longer love what you're doing, I mean, you
That's a
can
problem.
go to a 9 to 5 and hate your job. You can go, do whatever else you want to do and hate your job. But if you're on someone's wedding, I always say it's one of the most important days of their life. Why would you ever want to purposefully go and ruin, essentially, this day for someone else? I mean, why would you want to? Unhappy, like who wins at that point? You don't even want the money. You're just like, I'm done. I'm so tired of like everything that's going on, you know?
I
So,
I doubt if they want to do it purposefully, or on purpose. I think it's done because you now have, a stream of bitterness that has built over time, right? And you become snappy and,
mm-hmm,
irritable. you're thinking to yourself, how much are they paying me anyways, right? Because let's say the bride was like, oh, this is all the money that we have and we really want you. And, you just give them 50% off. And on the day, you realize that she has, three red bottoms to choose from. And, she has this and she has this and she has this. And that could make you bitter,
Yeah.
because I just gave this person whatever percentage off, and they just turn around and they're spending all this money that they said they do not have,
Mm.
right? It's, it could.
Yep. No, totally. Because it does. It makes you, and I think if you don't know, it's just like your analogy. Like if you're dating, right, and you just date anyone or you marry anyone, right? That's not, you're not going to be happy, first of all. And then,
True.
when it comes to, you're like, oh, whatever. But then you're so unhappy. Like you should wait for
The
your,
right person.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Because
Yes.
they're the ones who are going to make you happy. You're not going to be happy with someone who has to, scrape together their pennies and then like come to you and be like, it's all I have. And then come to find out, they have a closet of red bottoms and you're like, no, no, that's
I
not
just
true.
got played.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hi, the lady in style. Thank you for joining us and everybody else.
So
You
yeah,
know,
so I mean, I think that it's important to make sure that clients know, or that professionals know, who their ideal client is. What's one thing that you suggest for brands to do when they are trying to kind of, speak to different emotions that are going to propel that client, make that impact, propel them to actually take the action? What emotions do you think are the most powerful when it comes to that psychology?
so what I usually tell clients is, first of all, you need to have some kind of marketing budget, right? You need to set money aside, and it's, for the person that is just starting year one and year 10, your budget cannot be the same,
Right.
right? But at least create some money saying that this is what I'm going to use towards my marketing, right?
Mhm.
Then you would sit down with a professional like myself
Mhm.
saying, this is what I want to get, right? These are the kind of clients that I want. This is what I want for my business, and have a plan,
Mhm.
right? I one of the things that I make crystal clear to my clients is, this thing doesn't happen overnight, right? As I said, like any relationship,
Right.
right? If somebody says hi, meeting them for the first time, and the next thing that comes out of their mouth is, would you marry me? You're gonna run, right? You're gonna
Yes.
run because this might be a raving lunatic, is
Right.
what comes to mind. So you build over time and you get to your destination over time. And most importantly, you're supposed to enjoy the journey. It's about the journey and enjoying the journey, and not so much focused on the
Mm.
enjoy it.
Mhm. No, absolutely. That's so good. For kind of figuring out what a good budget is, do you usually suggest a percentage for pros to kind of think of, like, okay, so this is a good percentage, or is it better to think of as a dollar amount for them? What do you normally suggest?
Um, that's a great question. I think a percentage should start. You should start with a percentage, right?
Okay.
Think about um, how much you charge for this service,
Mm-hmm.
right? A percentage of that, like you do with your taxes,
Mm-hmm.
should be removed and say, you know what, this is towards my marketing.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you know, religiously, you would never have issues with paying for good marketing,
Right.
because that's what all the big brands that you see and love, that's exactly what they do.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's how good business is run anyways. When you understand that business. It's not just kind of like willy-nilly here, there, like you're just throwing stuff around. You actually have a plan. You take the time to budget all the aspects of it. You're not just like, oh, wait, oh, we have to keep the lights on too. Like, oh, and oh, I'm supposed to pay people. And, no, you know exactly what, if you need supplies, if you, whatever it is that you need to purchase to make it work, marketing needs to be in there too. So, and I think that, what you said before about making sure that, the videos that you have for your marketing efforts, that they're professionally done, because that's really, it speaks volumes. And that's just what you said. Like when people go to that page and they see that everything's kind of like fuzzy or, like the old
Loosey
state
goosey,
messaging.
yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good look at all.
It's not. I tell my clients this all the time. I'm like, look, whatever brand that you admire, look on their page and see what's there, right? That's a good indicator for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? No matter how amazing that moment looks, that's the reason why Instagram created the Instagram story.
Mm-hmm.
It is for the story. Before then, you're not supposed to put that on your page. Then they created stories for it to last for 24 hours and be gone. Don't
Right.
put that on your page,
Right.
you know, because again, whoever it is that is seeing you for the first time, that's the impression that you don't have you never get a second chance to
Mm-hmm.
create a first impression,
Right.
you know. And for, another thing about budgeting is it lets you really understand the state of affairs,
Mm.
right? What I did a while ago, it's been a couple of years when, I think we charged about $5,000 or $6,000 then for a video. And I realized that we were making about $3, $4 an hour. I'm like, this makes no sense, right? This makes no sense. So people come in and they're like, oh, but this person is charging this. I'm like, that's totally fine. They haven't
Right.
done that math yet. Because
Right.
when you sit down and be like, okay, you know what? I spent 40 hours on this project before we got there. Because a lot of times they're negotiating for the day of,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Like for a planner, you didn't just start planning that wedding on the day of. You've been planning that wedding for a year, right? So for someone to come and start negotiating 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, it makes no sense. And that's what I had to do. I had to, kind of break it down. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, we're spending an average of 100 to 120 man hours on each video. This makes no sense,
Right.
right? And you have other people to pay because you're not a one-man
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'd rather be home spending time with the family
Mm-hmm.
than be out stressing myself out and yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah. And I always say, like, for some people who they're just getting started, and it, and their affiliating style says it's important to know your base price.
Yeah, somebody just said that. Very, very important. Thank
Yeah.
you, lady in style.
And TPAT 5.0 says, I absolutely love the video you did for the MAFS
Oh,
couples.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yay. So that's, but when it comes to actually getting enough experience to charge what you want to charge, I always tell pros that they should look for, accomplished individuals in their field to assist, because they're going to get paid better, paid more, and they're still going to get the experience, because those are things, otherwise it's like they're constantly undercutting. And that's one thing that I hear of, kind of pros in the beginning mid-tier, is that they feel like, there's all these other, pros that are out there, and they just keep undercutting all of everyone else in that in that category. So it makes it really hard for them sometimes. Are there suggestions that you have, besides like assisting and other things, be able to, make sure that they're charging what they're worth?
And everyone needs a mentor, right? You need someone to, because for me, I rather learn from somebody else's mistakes
Mm, yeah.
than make my own. So that term that says that experience is the best teacher, that is a lie because it's not true. It is a lie from the pits of hell, right? This person made this mistake or this person fell in a hole. Why do you have to go fall in that same hole? I, I don't get it.
I agree. I agree. And that's so true because why would you have to make the same mistake? You can learn from some, I mean, you could listen. I've made mistakes, and it's one thing like my coaching clients, I love to be able to tell them like, don't do that. Don't go fall off that cliff. I've been there. It's
Yep.
not fun. Don't do it. You know, and to know that it's like that saves them time and money and heartache and you know, that's why you can find mentors and you can find coaches to kind of help you through that. Um, yeah, TPAT 5.0 says I agree with learning from others' mistakes. Yeah, I mean, because honestly, who wants to fall into a hole by like no nobody
It's,
wants to.
it's it's interesting that a lot of people do.
Right,
That's why
right,
they quote that that statement or that phrase. Oh, experience is the best teacher. No, it's not.
yeah,
You
no,
know, it's a conversation that I have with my kids all the time. Like, why do you want to go through that when you can avoid it? Like, why?
I know exactly. The lady in style says I learned from previous clients and really understand what to charge. That's really good. And those are the things too, understanding like, I mean, because we all make mistakes, whether you have a mentor or not, being able to figure out, you know, what are you learning? How are you able to really, you know, expedite or, you know, kind of work more efficiently in terms of your work because then you can charge more because those are things that do come with experience, you know, but when you couple that with not falling into holes, that's that's priceless.
And as I said, it's not even about charging more, right? It's about the value that you're
Mm.
creating for this person because people, the lady that told you that she didn't have money went to go buy three red bottoms, three sets. So what she's telling you indirectly is that you're not giving me value.
Right,
Therefore, I cannot pay you because I don't see value in what you do. So when
exactly,
you start creating value for your clients, they will pay.
right.
I had a client, when was that? A few months ago that tipped me 5 figures. That was tip on top of the services that we provided. That's and that tip is what some people charge for the same service. It's
Right,
not the same, it's not the same, but
right,
for the kind of service that we're charging, they charge that. And
right.
somebody gave us that as a tip. So it tells you that when people see value in what you produce and
Hmm.
what you offer, they're happy to pay for it.
Yeah, and understanding that the people who don't see the value you offer, those are not your ideal
Those are
clients.
not your clients.
Those are the time wasters, and those are the
Yep.
ones that are making bitter. We don't want.
That's the litmus test right there.
Yeah.
If somebody does not see value, in fact, the some keywords that I watch out for when I'm having a consultation, when you see stuff like, is it not just video,
Mm,
right? It's only video. What's the big deal? You're not my client.
right.
You're not,
Hmm.
because what we do is like the movies. It's
Yeah.
just a smaller production. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And some of those movies are in the millions. So if you're like, oh, it's just, you know, it's just video,
Right.
right? Was Titanic just video? No, it wasn't.
Just a video.
No, it's just
Just a
video.
video. Yeah. They just shot that from their iPhone.
I know, right? The
Yeah.
iPhone or the Samsung, you know?
Yeah. The lady in style says, I'm okay knowing that I'm not for everyone, which is so good. And JPFCT, what did he say? Just it says, I agree those clients are not for you. And that's, you know, really being okay with that. I think that's something that a lot of pros like it takes a minute sometimes to like kind of program your brain to be like, I'm okay with not having that client because you know later on that that's saving you headache, heartache, a refund. some really bad review that you can't get off of, you know,
Oh my
some
God. Yes.
somewhere, you know. So, you
Yes.
know, just kind of circumvent that whole issue and just let them go, because that can be somebody else's issue. It doesn't have to be yours.
Absolutely. I agree with you 110%. Um, and so if you know, for a business owner, one of the things that you need to think about is how to build the value of your brand, right?
Hmm.
And I say that because let's say 10 years down the line, your situation changes, right? You need to spend more time with the kids and you want to do this and you want to do this. You can actually sell that business off because you have built equity into that brand. Majority of wedding professionals cannot sell their businesses because the business has no brand equity,
Right.
right? So when you start thinking like that, yes, you're a small business, but you don't necessarily have to think small,
Hmm.
right? Think about how the big boys play, right? When you build that brand, then you could sell it,
Right.
right? The reason why you would pay um 10 times more for an iPhone versus some brand that you do not know,
Right.
even though they claim to do the same thing, it's because of brand equity.
Hmm.
You trust the brand, right? I tell
Hmm.
people all the time, like when you look at our work, though they're different because each client is different, but there's a consistency all through. And that's the reason why you hire us, because you've seen that consistency.
Right.
You know, regardless of what our story is, this guys would deliver what we've seen here. That's
Right.
the reason why they pay.
Right. And that's why, I mean, the same, just like you were saying before, you know, like Spielberg, right? Not every one of his movies looks the same, is the same, is shot exactly the same, but the quality is there every single time. Like, and those are the things that I mean, every couple is looking for when they're figuring out, okay, who do they want to be their videographer? We had some comments come through. TPAT 5.0 says, watching the anniversary movie, I felt like I was watching a Broadway play or an episode of The Bold and the Beautiful. I love
Oh,
that.
thank you.
I love that. And you know, understanding that there, I mean, yes, you can take your phone and shoot whatever, but that's not going to be the same. Um, those are things that and you have to value that. And not everyone does, and those people are definitely not going to be your, yeah,
Yes. You
yeah.
know, we have clients that um I had a client that sent a message this past weekend, and it was the next time that you're in town, we want to host you,
Oh,
right? So I want you to think about that for a second. Most of the time, your your vendors or your clients don't want to have anything to do with you after an event. It's done. But because of the value that you created and the bond that you now have, right? Um, they want you to be part of their lives,
yeah.
you know, beyond the reason why you guys met in the first place,
I love that. That's so
you
cool.
know?
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying about the brand connection, right? If your authentic self, your audience would connect with your brand and always want to follow your growth and be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And those are the things that, you know, when you put that out there on social media and on all of your videos and obviously the interactions you have with your clients, those are things that come back to you, because that's, I mean, the very first thing I bet that, you know, any of your clients, but definitely the client who is like, we want to host you, you know, if anyone is getting married, they know exactly who they're going to be recommending. I have a videographer for you. Let me tell you, this is who you need to hire. And those are the things too that people don't always think about. You know, yes, it's important to have your marketing and your video strategy down, but understand that it's, if you're doing everything else in your business right, that word of mouth, I mean, they cannot wait to tell somebody else about what it is that you do or who you are. And then that person goes to your account on Instagram, they go to your website, and then they're half sold already.
Yes, because there's a consistency,
Exactly.
right? There's a consistency on every platform, and you don't have to be on every platform,
Right.
right? You could choose two to be on, and those are your platforms. But when they see those things, there is a consistency,
Right.
right? I mean, imagine someone saying his name is John, right? And when you look him up, you see a Richard or Paul, right? You're at all of a sudden it says to, because I'm using names because it's easy to relate,
Right. Right.
right? All of a sudden there's a red flag saying that this person cannot be trusted.
Right.
And that's what a lot of these professionals don't understand. The lack of consistency says that you're saying, hey, don't trust me, I can't be trusted. That's what it means.
And understanding that the lack of consistency is sending a message. That's really important,
Absolutely.
because it does. It's not just, okay, this is my message I'm intending to put out in this video, and this is my message for this video. But if they are all inconsistent, and if the quality is inconsistent, and like the messaging is crazy,
Yes,
it's like that all together sends a message.
of course. Of course. It says, don't trust me.
Run away. That's what it says. It says find someone else. But those are things that again, really understanding your strategy helps you figure out, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm not doing. This is what I should do and what I shouldn't do, because it can be really confusing, I think, for some business owners to really figure out, okay, I know I need a strategy, or I know I need video, but I don't know what I should do, or how I should say it, or you know, everybody else seems to have it figured out, and I don't know what I'm doing.
So what I tell clients is the first thing that you should start with is a brand story, right? Who are you? What do you do? What do you offer? And
Mm-hmm.
why should we trust you to be able
Mm,
to deliver? That's your
that's
story right there. That's your brand story. And and it's okay. It doesn't have to be you know, I'm trying to use the word perfect because you can always build on a story, right? But it has to be authentic,
mm-hmm.
right? And your authentic self is what people fall in love with. And people spend money with the people that they like and
Yeah.
they trust. Let me say that again. People spend money with people that they like and they trust, right? They're not paying you that extra money because your stuff is better, because at a certain level, the
Right.
work begins to look the same,
Yeah.
right? Everybody is showing up with their A game, and you cannot do beyond your A game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking to the people all the way, the starters and the people up here, right? But people spend money, or clients spend money with people that they trust and
Mm-hmm.
the people that they like.
Mm-hmm. That
So that is why your brand story is important, and the authenticity of you delivering that message. And we can help you with the scripting and
yeah,
what you need to say and how to say it,
that's
to
good.
connect, because what is important is the connection.
Right. And that's the whole point. I mean, the emotion, the feeling that comes out of that, it is to make that connection, because that propels them to want to act, to
Yes.
reach out, to, connect with you. So that's so good. So many good things tonight. Seriously, like all over the place. I love it. And so good. So if you guys are tuning in and you missed some of the beginning, you're going to want to rewatch this. So we're coming down to the end. Avi, is there anything else that you want to add in? Because I mean, we covered so much, which all really, really good tips. You guys, if you just joined, you have to watch the whole thing. So watch when we repost it. But any other good tips for people as they're kind of figuring
Um, let
video?
me let me do this one. Let's do 3 reasons why you need video for your business,
Ooh, I like that.
right? Number one, video can communicate the most amount of information in the shortest amount of time,
Mm, that's
right?
true.
Um, I've been on some websites, and they're about us. is like an epistle, right? John, John 1, 2, 3, and Revelations, and it's ain't nobody got time for
Things.
that.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna read that. But you can communicate all that information in 60 to 120 seconds.
Right.
And it is also video is also easier to digest,
Mm,
right? Than someone trying to read,
right.
you know. Secondly, video helps you build trust between you and your audience, right? If you
Hmm.
think about it, before social media, everything that you saw on TV, you trusted and believed. I don't know what the magic is. It's just the way it is, right?
It is.
Um, we created this video. It was a video for, I can't remember the campaign, but they were models. And somebody sent a message that, oh, those people are so in love. I'm like, they just met each other for the first time.
Ah,
But people trust video. And it helps you, build trust with your audience. And
mhm.
people spend money with people that they trust and they like. Finally, video helps with search engine
Mm.
like Google, right? Your video is 52 more times likely to be in the first page,
Wow.
when you have video on your website. And realize that, um, I mean, that's for Google. Remember that Instagram is becoming a search engine for people that don't know,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
So just kind of think about stuff like that. When you're searching something, check out the first things that come out. It's video. That's what comes
Hmm.
up first.
Right.
So I think those are three good reasons for you to invest in video for your business.
I love that. And when it comes to having video on your website, do you suggest for people to link it to like a YouTube or just embed it in the page itself?
I think it's good to be linked to YouTube
Mm.
because again, YouTube itself is becoming a search engine.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, as just like tentacles, as many as you can put out, coming back to the same center,
Right.
it's good.
No, that's a good point. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining. This was so much fun.
You are so
Very,
welcome. Thank you.
and if you guys haven't already, make sure that you follow MalekFotoWeddings. And tomorrow, don't forget to join us. We're going to talk about this again on Clubhouse tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And you can join. So my Clubhouse username is at Garmers, which is my last name. So GARMERS. And for Avi, it's MalekFotoWeddings, correct?
Malik Photo Films, I believe.
Oh, films. Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be my first time on Clubhouse. I've never been.
Yay! Wonderful. I love it. So make sure that you guys join in. It's going to be a great discussion. If you have questions about video, you can ask them live and just kind of join in the conversation. We love to keep it casual and informational for everyone. So thanks so much for joining everyone tonight. Abby, thank you so much for all of these wonderful tips. And
Thank you.
Luminaries by Little Rock, she says, thank you for all of those gems.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Or
Thank you, thank you,
films,
thank you.
films and gems.
I'm actually um I'm thinking about creating a course. Um I still have to, because I've been getting a lot of requests, do you have any kind of this and that? So I'm thinking about it. I would,
I love it.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Well, listen, if you guys are thinking or you're interested in taking a video marketing course, join us on Clubhouse tomorrow and you can ask some of those questions to Abby and he can kind of figure out if those are good things to add in his course. And then you can buy his course when it comes out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much and
All
enjoy
right.
the rest of your day. Thank you, everyone. God bless and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night, Abby.
All right.
We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hear you guys tomorrow on Clubhouse. Thanks.